What is up, everyone? We're back for another Friday fireworks show mid-August. Wow, it's already August 15th. We got NFL preseason underway. Big UFC pay-per-view tomorrow, actually, in Chicago here. We'll be going to that tomorrow. Got some of the RPS guys actually flying in today. Should be a good time to see all the boys. Bummed that you weren't able to make it, Stats, but we'll see you soon. What's going on, man?
Not much. Yeah, no, it's going to be a good one. I don't know. I'm getting older, man. It's only so many of these I can handle in a month's time frame. I was with you guys in Minnesota. That was enough for a little bit. So now you guys will have a good time. Dinner tonight, from what I hear. So that sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's going to be a great weekend. We got a big slate tonight, some good contests. I don't think we have any weather to worry about. But before we get started, if you want to join us, you can use code JBC100K-WIN for, I believe it's a free week with a monthly membership. If you don't want to do that, you can use code STATS15 or STEVE15 for 15% off any subscription. We do all sports here. It's a great time to jump in right before NFL starts. I know that the boys had a show earlier for the NFL preseason for free. Lots of great free information on that show. There's a bunch of stuff behind the paywall, though, for the preseason slates. Our guy Rubio and company are grinding those slates big time. So that's great content. We'll have a show tomorrow, midday, I believe, Stats for the UFC slate. So make sure
the NASCAR show is also being switched to Saturday because we've got Saturday night NASCAR now. So
awesome. So
I'll be on there tomorrow. 10 a.m. Yeah, 10 a.m. with Rubio tomorrow.
Great. So we have the NASCAR show, probably into the UFC show tomorrow. There's a lot of sports going on. We're covering it all here at RPS, even the esports too. So join us. Code STATS15 will get you 15% off your first payment. We've got 12 games to talk about here, though. So let's dive right in. We'll start on the East Coast as usual. Texas and Toronto this weekend. We've got Jacob deGrom pitching for Texas. Pretty hefty price tag here. I'm interested to hear your thoughts on him at 10-3. And Chris Bassett on the other side. Pretty good pitching matchup here in Toronto. What do you think pitching-wise here, Stats?
Yeah, let's see. So, look, deGrom always going to be pretty high on the model, right? I've got him as the second choice here on this slate. You know, the K numbers, at least the K per inning, not quite what we're kind of used to with deGrom on there, and that's a lot of that has to do with maybe Toronto bats and the lack of strikeouts there. But we've got deGrom in the betting market 5.5 Ks, so he's a guy we're used to seeing like 7.5 Ks on a deGrom prop, 17.5 on his outs. Bassett's down at 4.5 Ks. It's juiced to the over, and his pitching outs are at 16.5. So I do still like deGrom. 10-3 hefty price tag, and on a slate where we do have a Rockies home game, perhaps we're going to have to go a little bit lighter with a couple of these guys who are a little bit more expensive, like a deGrom and a Valdez, who we'll talk about later. So I'm going to kind of curb my ownership on those guys. But Bassett, on the other hand, kind of middle of the pack for me. I've got him as the 10th pitcher on this slate at 8,400. Just, I went over the strikeout props there. Nothing to get too excited about at that price tag. It's kind of mid for me.
Yeah, interesting spot for deGrom. One of the toughest of the season, like you said. Toronto, lowest strikeout rate in baseball in the split against righties. I think, Stats, they only have two guys over a 15% strikeout rate in the split. So obviously a matchup that he can win, but not a clean one whatsoever. Our hand in the chart shows just how good this Blue Jays lineup has been. First in weighted runs created plus and first in ISO in the split. So tough matchup for deGrom. One that he can win, though. I think his ownership will be interesting. We're showing here 15%, which on a slate where I don't love a lot of pitching, getting deGrom at that ownership level is pretty enticing. I added him back into my pool as the day went on. I don't have a ton of pitchers on this slate, and he's obviously has the upside to be SP1. I like Bassett a little bit more than you do. I know we've talked about home road splits and like how much we buy into them. I buy into them at the extremes, right? Like if there's a guy who's just completely awful on the road and nails at home, I tend to lean into it a bit. Bassett's been that way for a couple seasons now. He's been atrocious on the road. Check this out. I put this in the playbook. 6.4 ERA, 1.53 WHIP, only 44 strikeouts and 56 innings on the road. At home, 2.5 ERA, 84 Ks in 77 innings. Stuff like that, I'm fine buying into if it's at the extremes, like I said. This Rangers lineup's been really bad. Second lowest weighted runs created plus, 29th over the last month in the split. Not much power. On a slate where I'm kind of looking to add guys to my pool, not take them out. I've got Bassett in my pool here. Only 3% projected ownership. I think getting over Bassett in a really, really nice home spot, maybe an underrated home spot against a struggling lineup is something that I'm going to do. I'll probably have 15, 20% Bassett in my 20 lineup. So I like both pitchers here. I like Bassett more than you. Any bats for you in this game?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I'm going to lean a little bit more on the Texas side. I really don't want to touch the Toronto bats against DeGrom. Peterson's been cheap. I mean, his price at 2,300 is actually higher than what it's been. I think you could. I think you could play him here at the 2,300 as a punt option. I'm not going to have much as far as bats. No bats from Toronto, and maybe just a sprinkle. Like Peterson will just make his way in, just because I'm going to have to fit him in that price tag in a few lineups. But primarily, it's going to be just kind of one-offs with Seager, Peterson, and Langford for me. Yeah,
agree there. I'm not going to have many bats at all. I agree. No bats on the Toronto side. One-offs only on the Texas side, as I'm in on both pitchers. All right, let's go to Boston. I really like this game for bats, I think, more than the market does. Giolito and Sandy Alcantara, two super volatile pitchers, especially Giolito. Alcantara's been awful the entire season, except for the start or two before the trade deadline, maybe trying to get out of town, doesn't get traded, has reverted back to being pretty poor here. What are your thoughts on the pitching in this game?
Yeah, so I mean, if we look at the props, Gio's at 4.5 Ks. It is juiced to the over. His outs 16.5. Alcantara is 4.5 Ks, juiced to the under 17.5 on his pitching outs. So if I look down my list here, I've got Gio as the 8th best option, so I like him a little bit better than Bassett. K per 9, I've got a little bit better than Bassett. I'm picking on Bassett just because they're really similar price tag here. And then Alcantara 6,500. I mean, the price is right. I've got him basically the same, just a little bit underneath Giolito here. So I've got both of these guys kind of middle of the pack. I think they make the cut. Certainly at the 6,500, I'm just going to have to get some of these pitchers in because I just think that Colorado game is too good with the Arizona bats. We loved it yesterday. Obviously, the Arizona did go off. So I'll probably have a little bit more Alcantara than Gio just because of the price. I'm going to be getting. There's a few of these cheap pitchers that I'm going to be getting in here on today. So I think it's going to be cheap pitching day here for me. Kind of spread it out amongst a few of these guys, and hope for the best.
I just got a cocktail delivery during the show. It is happy hour. Thank you.
Oh boy.
We call that service.
Catherine just dropped in. I think Sandy's playable here at that price tag. But I like the bats here in Boston. Two guys who just routinely get blown up. We've seen both of these teams hit really well against right-handed pitching. Miami, especially of late, adding Jacob Marcy has been, God, he's been so good. I think both sides here are going to be under-owned. This is kind of like my sneaky, game that goes over. I took the over 8.5 this morning. Saber likes Boston a good bit. The price tags are a bit tough, which is why these guys are going to be low owned. But just a spot. I want to keep attacking Sandy here. His calling card for years and years was the huge ground ball rate. That's kind of gone away from him, down to like a 40-something% ground ball rate. He was usually around 60%. So his stuff is diminishing pretty fast. And I really like both sides here. I'm going to have some Miami and some Boston 5-mans in my 20. Probably stick to the top 6 on the Miami side. No real need to go below there. And then Boston, especially the lefties, right? Anthony, Duran, Wilyer, Abreu, guys like that. And then you can obviously fill things out with Trevor Story at a pretty weak shortstop position today. So I'm more on the bats What do you think about the bats here? I know you were kind of tepid on the pitchers.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not huge on the bats on the Miami. So Boston bats a little bit better for me. I do like Story, Abreu, and Bregman quite a bit on that Boston side. You could throw Duran in there as well. So I do like the Boston bats. I think they're going to be more of a secondary stack, as a lot of these stacks will be for me with that Colorado game being. I'm going to be pushing fairly heavy there. So I do like that. Look, Ramirez behind the plate for Miami has been a guy I've used a bit at a cheaper price. Now at 3,900, not as good a price tag as maybe he was a little bit ago. But I'm going to be limited on the Miami bats. I think Boston secondary stacks and one-offs. I like these Boston stacks a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm with you that I lean Boston. I'll probably end up sticking to secondary stacks for Miami. I like 1, 2, 3 here. Otto Lopez, Marcy. So 1, 2, 3, 5, 6 are my priority plays on the Miami side. Not going to be jamming, but just a spot that I think is a bit better than the market does. So I'm going to lean into that a little bit. All right, let's go to Cleveland. We've got interesting pitching matchup here. Two young arms, Joey Cantillo for Cleveland and Hurston Waldrep. You were talking about NASCAR. That sounds like a NASCAR name there, Stats. He's had good success so far. His minor league numbers weren't that spectacular, though. What are your thoughts on the pitching here? I think both guys are interesting. I didn't end up getting to either guy, though.
Yeah, I mean, we should start with Cantillo. I mean, 8K price tag. He's got a decent K per inning here. I mean, we're talking like a K. He's a K per inning guy. About one per.
I wish he was like 1,000 cheaper here.
Exactly. Yeah, that would have been nice. So he winds up coming in for me at the at 12 pitcher on this slate. So it's going to be very limited. I probably won't have much, if I have any at all, of Cantillo. And then Waldrop just doesn't rate out well enough. He's going to be my 17th pitcher on the slate, down at 7,200. Just not enough Ks for me to be interested. I could give you the props on these guys, but yeah, I think really limited on the pitching side of this game. I do like the bats a bit. I like these Atlanta bats here. I like the power bats from Atlanta, Acuna, Olsen. You can throw Albies in there at 3,500. I think's a good price. I mean, Ozuna. Listen, it's a Friday night. We always got to kind of throw these Atlanta bats in on Friday nights. They have not been all that great.
Acuna back from the IL today as well. Yeah.
Who's that coming back?
Acuna, first game back.
Yeah.
From the IL. I'm not sure if you said that.
So yeah, no. So I do like the Atlanta bats a little bit more than Cleveland. I mean, listen, Ramirez on the Cleveland side is always going to be in play, regardless of the matchup. And then Manzardo, a little pricey, 4,400 at first base. I like that as well. I think you could use both sides of this game bats wise. I would lean more towards Atlanta, and I would play Atlanta more. You could play him 5-man and secondary stacks. I like Cleveland more as secondary stack options.
Yeah, I'm with you. I'm not on either pitcher here. Cantillo was one of my last guys out. I just wish he was a bit cheaper. I do like his arm talent, and I like his stuff and his strikeout upside, but the walk rate is just kind of hurts his duration upside. So, yeah, I'm out on both pitchers. I'm not in love with the bats here. I do agree that the Brave side is better, especially with Acuna back. We get a bit of a discount here on him. He was up at 6K, 6+ before the injury. He's 5.3 coming back. So I do like that. I think I'll probably end up only having secondary stacks and one-offs here. Acuna, Ozuna, Ozzy Albies, obviously much better against left-handed pitching. So those are the three, plus Sean Murphy, that I really like. I'll probably be hands-off on the rest of the lineup. Brittany says, Mike Harris on a tear. Yeah, finally. He's been so bad all season. He's been really good since the break. I hope that he keeps it up. I do like him long-term. The Cleveland side, I'm with you. Probably just leave Ramirez in the pool, honestly. Always fine grabbing him as a one-off. You'll see as you build, especially if you're going to jam Core's stats, that third base is fairly weak overall. So I think getting different with a one-off Ramirez, especially, we're going to talk about some cheap pitching that at least I like. So we're going to be able to play spend up bats on this slate, so I don't mind that at all. All right, let's go to the Mets game. We got Luis Castillo on the road against Sean Manaea. Castillo has been much worse on the road this season outside of Seattle. Sean Manaea has had a couple of bumpy starts, but in tough matchups, coming back home here at Citi Field. What are your thoughts on the pitching here? My first point was that Manaea's price tag has come down $1,500 basically since his last start.
Yeah, we're getting a little bit cheaper Manaea, which I think is good, and it actually it bumps him up on my model. We're looking at over a K per inning, 1.05 Ks per inning at that price, 7,900. Kind of mid. You're looking at him to go maybe five plus. We're hoping for, and certainly hoping maybe a little bit more than that if we're going to take on GPPs. But that's what the market's kind of looking at, slightly over 5 innings for him. And Castillo, you look at the prop market, 4.5 Ks is his prop with 17.5 outs. The Manaea prop is 5.5 with his outs, just 15.5. So, so I've got him as the fifth pitch of Manaea. That is fifth best option here overall tonight. And then I've got Castillo down again at a level that probably won't have too much of him at all. He's my 13th option on the slate. Just the Ks for that 8,600 price tag really just not good enough for me. I do like the bats in this game. I love them. Yep. I've really been on the Met bats here the last pretty much this whole week.
I have too.
And I'd want to get back on the Met bats, and I think you can certainly play Seattle bats also. And I think the Seattle bats I think offer yourself a nice, Manaea, again, he's my fifth best option. I still think this is one of those where you want to play both. I think you want to play Manaea and you want to get some Seattle bats in there because of the pop with the Seattle bats. They aren't cheap. They're going to be expensive. Probably not going to be stacking them with cores, but they're going to offer you a nice leverage against Manaea, who will have a decent amount of ownership, I think.
Yeah, I'm with you. I like Manaea a good bit here. I'm not on Castillo. I think with the price decrease after a couple of poor outings, I want to buy back in on Manaea here. We have a good projection on him. Now gets Seattle at home. He's been striking out just a ton. Like, they do have pop. They're kind of morphing into an Angels-like team stats where, lots of pop, but lots of strikeouts. Fifth highest strikeout rate over the last month, second highest strikeout rate over the last 2 weeks against left-handed pitching. So kind of a boom-bust spot here for Manaea. I do like the park for him, though, to pitch well. And then I'm with you on the Mets bats. I played them all week too. Last night they got off to the hot start and kind of fizzle out. That's always frustrating. Specifically the left-handed bats here, stats against Castillo. That's where he really struggles. Lindor, Soto, Nimmo, Simple Jack, Jeff McNeil hitting fifth tonight. Seti Mullins hitting seventh. Ronnie Mauricio, also a lefty, hitting ninth at 2,700. So that's a good thing about the Mets is, you pick two of the studs, and then it's easy to five-man them because the rest of the team is so dirt cheap.
Yep. And you mentioned third base being a struggle. I mean, you got a cheap third base option if you're gonna stack the Mets.
We got two of them.
I know, it's Vientos, I get it, but at least it's cheap.
Vientos and Mauricio both cheap. Yeah. So yeah, I'm in on the Mets here. Want to continue to play stacks against Luis Castillo when he's on the road. So it's all Mets here. I believe I bet on the Mets. I'm going to toss a couple bets in here from DK. I mentioned the over in Boston. Mets minus 120 I have in this one as well. Let's keep it moving. Let's go to Houston, the 8-10 window here. My guy Framber Valdez up at 10-5 coming off back-to-back rough outings for him, but those were at Boston, at New York. Now comes home. Another guy with big home road splits. Framber's been just absolutely dynamite at home against Baltimore's Brandon Young, guy who's really, really struggled at the major league level. I just don't think he's a major league level talent. Got absolutely smoked by the A's last time out. I want to know where you are on Framber here. It's a high price tag for him, but on a slate where, like we said, DeGrom's in a tough spot, there isn't really much between Framber and guys like Bassett and Manaea here. Like, he's kind of on his own up top at 10-5. On a slate where we've got a bunch of expensive Coors bats, how much Framber do you want here?
Yeah, I think that's the question. I think if you just look at it in a vacuum, Framber's the best option. So he rates out the best on my model. I think the problem you're going to have is just the price tag of 10-5 and wanting to play a lot of the expensive bats, which I'm going to be doing today. Now, if you want to go ahead and fade the Coors game, then I would suggest absolutely hammering Valdez. So, I mean, that's kind of the way you're going to have to do it. So, where do we have him as far as where does Saber have him right now as far as ownership goes?
25-ish.
Yeah.
20-25.
I'm not sure. I'm not 100% sure if that's going to be lower or not. Typically, I would say, he's going to be way higher owned, but I just think maybe because of the fact that we've got that Coors game, it kind of puts a ceiling on his ownership. But in all likelihood, he gets higher owned than that.
Yeah.
But like I said, if you're going to play a strategy here where you want to fade that Coors game, then I think you have to then hammer Valdez. I think that's the move. So I think you go heavy Valdez and light on the Coors game. I'm going to be the opposite here. I'm going to be heavy on the Coors game, but you could certainly make the argument to go that route. So I think that's how you have to play it here. And if you're going to kind of be neutral, which I don't necessarily recommend, then you'd probably want to be in the 25 to 30% range on Valdez.
Yeah, I was playing around with some stuff earlier. Framber is doable in Coors. You just have to fade one of the Arizona studs, which I don't really want to do, but it is doable. We'll talk about some cheaper pitchers.
Yeah, I was going to say, we do have some cheaper pitching to where we can get Framber in there with a lot of these core stacks. So it is doable. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah. I'll probably end up being over that 25 just because I'm going to allow those cheaper Coors bats in with him, I think. And I do like the cheaper pitching that we'll talk about. Yeah, I mean, if you can afford him, like I said, lights out in that park pretty much for his whole career, but even more this year, 1.65 ERA on the season, 79 Ks and 71 innings. It's a super soft matchup tonight against Baltimore, who traded away a lot of their right-handed power at the deadline, specifically Ramon Laureano, who had been mashing. They lost Tyler O'Neill again. The guy cannot stay healthy for more than 2 weeks at a time. So actually, we just got this Orioles lineup. Let me pull it up. The bottom third of this order now, just not major league quality hitters here. Jeremiah Jackson, Dylan Carlson hitting from the right side, and Daniel Johnson. So really soft matchup for him here. Holiday and Gunnar hitting as lefties against Framber, who dominates lefties. So I'm going to have 0 Orioles bats here. I do want to talk about Houston bats, though. We were saying how bad Brandon Young has been. It's a good spot for Houston. They always seem to go under the radar. They did bolster their lineup at the deadline. Where are you on the Houston bats here?
Yeah, I get the kind of the matchup looks good here, but I'm not going to be high on them at all. Really not going to take any bats, I don't think, in the game. So I'm going to kind of just pass on this one for offensively. I mean, some of the bats rate out decently. They don't rate out terrible. Just to give you where we'll probably be on that boom report that'll come out after the show. I mean, Walker's going to be up there, and then kind of the next level down, you're going to have Altuve, Diaz, Sanchez, and Urias. So they rate okay, not great. So for me, I'm just going to kind of punt this game pretty much offensively.
Yeah, this is another disagreement. I don't like disagreeing with you, Stats.
That's good. It's fine, man. Listen,
I like Houston here. I just want to be picking on this Baltimore bullpen since the deadline. Let me pull it up. Since the deadline, third worst bullpen estimators behind Young. They could get Young out of there early, and then you just get the soft underbelly of this shitty bullpen. Houston hasn't gotten it done a lot this season. I just think it's a decent spot for them. I'm going to be slamming Coors. I'm just looking for a couple of other spots that are going to get overlooked. I think this is a good spot. I mean, at home against Brandon Young in this bullpen, one of the better spots that you're going to draw up for Houston. So not going to go crazy with it.
You get another cheap third baseman here with Houston, 2,900 with Urias. So
yeah,
it'll fit in nicely
as a secondary stack since the trade too. Correa is also now third base and shortstop eligible, which is nice. So I'll probably be sticking to the top 6 here. No real need to go further down at this ownership. So I like Houston some. Not going to go crazy with them though. All right, let's go to the next game. This is game number 6 of 12. Detroit, Minnesota. We saw the Twins get to Tarek Skubal last night. They face old Chuck Morton tonight, 41-year-old Charlie Morton. Looks like Minnesota's going to go with some sort of a bullpen mashup game. They're going to start with Pearson Ole, probably use Jose Urania at some point in this game. They're kind of out of arms here, so they're going to be mixing and matching tonight. Morton, another guy, was kind of hoping he would be low to mid 7Ks. He's sitting here at 8,200. What are your thoughts on him tonight?
Yeah, Morton gets one of his better strikeout numbers on the on the season. 5.5 Ks in the prop market, juice to the over. 16.5 is his outs. So that looks pretty good. As you mentioned, Pearson Ole, I think we kind of pass on, but Morton definitely in play at 8,200. I do agree. I wish it was a little bit cheaper, but I mean, man, you look at the projected strikeouts per inning. It's one of the best, like the third best on the entire slate. So Morton's going to be in the mix. He's my 6th best option on the slate here tonight. So I will have him. You know, kind of not the greatest as far as control goes, but hopefully we could get those Ks and get him deep into the game. Yeah, you mentioned last night, school not too good. It wound up working out well because if you haven't cores, you might have not played as much school. But we'll see if old Charlie Morton can.
Yeah, I was way under on Scuba, which is rare for me because I also gym Course. So when he got killed early, I was like, oh boy, this is going to be a good night. And then Course just absolutely, well, not bust, but didn't totally.
No, it was not as good with the run score. They didn't really get the
right.
We didn't get the points here that we needed DFS wise. At least on the Arizona. Well, Colorado was terrible, but
I'm
not a shock.
I'm also on Chuck here. He's just going to spin. It is awesome. He just goes out there and throws like 60% curveballs, and guys just don't see it. You know, they can't pick it up. Like you said, the K prop is really good here, over 5.5 with juice on the over, at least last time I looked. So I'm going to have Morton in my pool here. Any thoughts on the Detroit bats? I am usually concerned with pinch hit risk here. This is a team that is in first place that's trying to win games, and they've got like the strength of their team besides their pitching staff is how deep their bench is, right? Like they've got platoon guys for Colt Keith, for Kerry Carpenter, for Wensil Perez, for Zach McKinstry. Like there's just a lot of pinch hit risk here against a bullpen game where the Twins are going to kind of F around with matchups, I assume, especially if the game's close.
Yeah, when you look at the bats too, they're
expensive too.
They're expensive, and I think they're really pricey for the home run probabilities that we're looking at in the prop markets and whatnot. So I'm not all that interested in Detroit bats. Believe it or not, I'd rather play these Minnesota bats and get a little leverage here against Morton, who's going to have some ownership. I don't know where we've got him over on Sabre, but Morton will be owned here tonight. And I think you could play
15%.
Okay, so 15%. I think you could play like Buxton, Clemens, Wallner, guys with a lot of pop in secondary stacks, and at a reasonable price with Clemens and Wallner, 3,500, 3,600 respectively. Even Larnach at 3,800, and then even Brooks Lee down at 2,700. Like guys who certainly those first 3 names that I mentioned with some pretty good upside for home runs. I think they play out well as a kind of leverage against starting pitching play on tonight's slate. So I like them in secondary stacks for that reason. Just those guys, like the main guys, the real big home run threats there. Clemens, Buxton, Wallner, kind of the middle of the lineup that I would play as a secondary stack.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing Charlie Morton because of strikeout upside, not for run prevention here. His Achilles heel is giving up power. He's given up 18 home runs already this season. So I do like that call, going power hunting with some Twins one-offs or minis here. Probably the top 5. Keyshawn's been good too. So I'll probably stick to the top 5. Good point from HB Cards here. Kind of helps if you want to play these Detroit guys. Only one left-hander in the bullpen for the Twins. It's more of a price play for me. Like if I'm paying $5K plus for 4 batters in a lineup, it's going to be with Coors or with a team like the Mets. we'll get to the game in Sacramento, the Dodgers. So just kind of not where I want to be spending my money personally tonight. All right, let's go to Kansas City. Hot, I believe, in Kansas City. It's hot here. It's 86 in Chicago, so it's got to be hot down Kansas City. We got Noah Cameron. Has had a good rookie season, bit lucky overall, though, against Aaron Savali. Big price tag on Cameron here. I didn't get to either pitcher here. Do you have any interest in Cameron or Savali?
Well, let's see. We've got Savali down as like the third worst option on the slate. I mean, just no strikeouts. One of the worst K per inning numbers on the entire slate, like 0.7 we're looking at. And then Cameron, not all that much better. I've got him as the 14th option. Better, maybe better control and a little bit better strikeout upside here for Cameron. But I don't really have much interest, and certainly not at 9,300. I think he'll get some. It's the anti-White Sox play. We'll probably get him a little bit of ownership, but I'm not going to have him in my player pool at all. Neither one of these pitchers for me.
Yeah, same. We've got a big team total over 5 on Kansas City. Not a team that I get to too often, at least for full stacks. I do like to leave the top 5 in here for one-offs and secondary stacks. Do you like any Royals bats here against Aaron Savali? I will note that they've been doing some pinch hit BS with Yastrzemski, which is kind of frustrating because his price is good and he's leading off. But they've been pulling him a decent amount, at least giving me some pause. What do you think about the Royals bats here?
Yeah, I mean, I like the Royals bats obviously more than I like White Sox, but not in a heavy way. I mean, Witt is always going to be good, but then after that, Perez there at 4,100 behind the plate is fine. Pasquantino, it's always the power bats that I'm always talking about with Kansas City that I like here, and like you said, Yaz, it's a great price tag, but does he get pulled in that game? Or does he get pulled tonight? I should say. 3,700, pretty good price tag. After that, I don't want to get too heavy here. You've got, Garcia kind of pricey at 5K, and a lot of these other guys I just don't have a ton of interest in. So I think I'm going to keep Witt, Salvi, and Vinny P. I'll keep Yastrzemski in there with Garcia in my player pool, and I'm probably just going to wind up with just a handful of secondary stacks on those guys, and maybe a few one-offs here and there, but they will not be a primary focus in my 150 builds.
Yeah, I'm with you. I don't want to be too heavy on the Royals. It's kind of why I like other teams in similar price points. Like we talk about the Mets. I like Houston a bit. I think I like those teams a bit better than Kansas City just because of the lack of overall power in the lineup. I'm going to keep, like you said, Witt, Vinny, Perez in there for 1, 2, and 3 man. Don't really need to mess with the bottom of the order here. You're not really going to get beat by Frazier, India, Lofton, Isbell. All right, let's go to St. Louis. Luis Gil has gotten 2 starts under his belt, built up to 91 pitches last time. Super encouraging. Looked great in that outing against Houston. And then Andre Piante going for Cardinals ground ball artist has really had a tough stretch lately. Got absolutely shelled by the Cubs. Like the only time the Cubs have hit in the last month and a half was against this guy last time out. I do want your thoughts on Gil here, though. I really, really like the price tag for his upside.
Yeah, I mean, I've got him down middle of the pack. I think he does have some upside.
I'm going to talk you into him here.
I know you might, but I'm going to be playing just a lot of these cheaper pitching. A bunch of guys that we haven't even gotten to.
He's 7,500.
I know. I'm talking like dirt cheap. I've got a few of these dirt cheap guys that I'm going to be tossing in there.
Nice. But roll around in the mud down in the 5K.
I'm going to roll around in the mud and get a little silly. But yeah, I mean, I get it. You'll probably wind up talking me into a little bit more than I planned on having. But yeah, Piante. How's you pronounce? I would say Piante. But
Piante, all right.
That's how I would pronounce it. How would you pronounce?
I probably pronounce his name 6 different ways this season.
Because double L, as far as I'm concerned, is a Y sound, right? So
yeah.
All right,
Piante.
But I will have none of however you want to pronounce Piante. I'll have none of that. So I think I'm going to be pretty, I really like the Yankee bats though in this one. And I've liked the Yankee bats quite a bit. They had come around and did finally start helping us out.
Yeah.
They were in
Was that
a bit
Tuesday?
of a
They had a
funk.
big game that should have been even larger. They had 11 hits and 11 walks, and only scored 6 runs, something like that.
Yeah.
That was frustrating.
Yeah, brutal. But they're gonna rate out well. They're gonna rate out well on the tournament edge because I think they're going to be. We're going to get some value, I think, as far as what their potential ownership or projected ownership
Yeah, it looks
is.
low.
It's low. I think Saber tends to be a little bit under where it is. Like I don't think Judge will be 5%. But I mean, I say it on the two. I do 2 shows a week. Whenever we get a Judge or an Ohtani lingering in that single digit projected ownership level, I want to be on that. I want to get a piece of that. So I think you could always take advantage of those situations when when those guys are not going to be owned. So yes, I'm going to have a lot of cores. That's going to limit the amount of Judge I get in there. But yeah, if you can get yourself up in the neighborhood of 15%, I think you're going to be in good shape. So I want to get over on. I would like to get over on the Yankees if possible. Grisham at 4K. I like that price. It's really for me. This game's all Yankees. Going to have no St. Louis at all, and maybe you'll convince me to play a little bit more heel. But right now, I've got them at my 11th option.
You've got no St. Louis because they can't hit.
Because they can't hit. I know.
Luis Heel, AL Rookie of the Year last year, missed the first 3+ months of the season. He's got 2 starts under his belt. Got up to 91 pitches last start. He got a pretty large salary decrease going into a great matchup here. Cardinals dead last in weighted runs created plus and dead last in ISO over last month in the split against righties, and that includes a 4-day stint in Coors. They've been the worst offense in baseball for over a month now. Heel is a guy who was sitting, 9K, 9,300, and 9,500 last year when he was healthy. He looked healthy last time out. His stuff looked fantastic. The underlying stuff looks great. When I wrote the playbook, I expected him to be like the highest owned pitcher on the slate based on the price tag and his upside in a nut matchup. I'm seeing under 10%. It's come up a little bit since I wrote the playbook earlier.
Yeah, he won't be that on. I think that's probably about right, 10%-ish.
He's got huge upside here. I took the over on his props. I took his strikeout over, and I really like the outs over. 15.5 outs was plus 110 earlier. They let him start the 6th inning last time out. He's fully stretched now. If he can avoid the walks, I think he gets 6 innings here. It's just such a great matchup. The Cardinals have done nothing at all against right-handed pitching. It's a guy that I played a ton of last season, and he was good to me. I mean, he was dynamic last season. Obviously, he won the Rookie of the Year. This is a guy who I think is going to be 8,500, 9K by the end of the season on a slate where I don't love a lot of pitching. I think he's a better play than Charlie Morton. I think he's the best play. I like Manaea, but I really, really like Heel here. He just gets a much better matchup in a pitcher's park against a team that I want to continue to attack while they're just not showing any power. So I'm going to be way over on him. He's going to be on my main team. He's my favorite pitcher on the entire slate. So I want to be early on him. I think the price tag is only going to go up because I think he's going to pitch well. He's healthy. He's stretched out. I just really, really like the spot for him. So, that's going to be probably my biggest stand on this slate is being early on him. I'm with you on the Yankees bats. You do want the full stack against Piante here because of the ground balls. You're going to need sustained innings against him, which obviously can happen. It just happened last time out. He is very susceptible to long innings. So I like the Yankees call. I like them. I mean, these price tags aren't that different from the Royals price tags. I'd much rather play the Yankees here than the Royals.
I think this is, similar. I talk a lot about the leverage against starting pitching, and a lot of times the ones that we want to target are kind of like the cheaper pitchers who are only getting ownership because of the fact that the price tag is so cheap.
Yeah.
You've kind of got that situation in reverse here with the Yankees. So you've got you've got a team that's got obviously a lot of home run potential. They've always got an explosive potential to explode on offense, but the ownership is going to be subdued because of the fact of the Arizona Colorado game, right? So that's going to kind of keep the ownership down. I think for me, I don't really play single entry stuff. If I was playing single entry, I would look more towards playing a Yankee stack than I would the Arizona game, right? Because I think for that ownership, even if you get the Arizona right with a single bullet, who knows how well you're going to even do, right? You're going to have to get it. In 150, it's different because now I've got a lot of different combinations. Mm-hmm. I can hammer it and then hope to find the right combination. Yeah. I think if I'm playing one bullet single entry, I would really look hard at the Yankees, because anytime I could get them at low ownership on a slate like this, where it's going to be a lot of the ownership on one particular game, I only have to have that one game to bomb to really, and obviously the Yankees have to hit for me to move high up on the, and with a shot to take down a big GPP. So I like that strategy tonight.
I like that, and that backs my third bet of the day. Yankees minus 135 in this one on DraftKings. Like that with the Luis Gil over 15.5 outs for all you SGP sickos out there. You can fire that one in.
We'll do a pick six later too, right?
Yeah. Right. We got to speed up a little bit so we can get to the pick six. Speaking of Coors, let's go to Coors. Brandon fought up against Tanner Gordon here. We can save some time. We're not going to be on either of these pitchers here. No. Why don't you talk about how you're playing Coors on this slate?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just playing in a lot of different ways I possibly can. So, I mean, Arizona, and more on the Arizona side, of course.
We have both lineups, so we can just kind of look through them here.
We do have the lineup, yeah. I mean, and you've got, McCarthy at 3,700. Whenever we could get these bats, and you got Locklear at 3,900, so we got a few bats that are reasonable in Coors for these guys. You've got an Alec Thomas at 3,800. So it's making it really hard to get off of full stacks of Arizona. So, I mean, I did it last night. I'll be, and it was a short slate last night, but even on this larger slate, slightly less projected. I think I had him at 7.05 as far as the team total projected. Obviously number one on the slate. So I could see going a little lower on the Colorado bats. I know JBC and I always get into this. Like he doesn't really care who the teams are. He just likes to hammer it.
Slam.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it's warranted here on the Arizona side. If you don't want to get too heavy on Colorado, I'm fine with that approach. But it's tough for me. I mean, the two big bats here, Carroll and Marte. I know the Arizona lineup, not what it was, but I just think in that ballpark with the price tags that we have there, it's going to be tough for me to get off them. If they bomb tonight, so will I. But again, like I said, if you're going single entry, then I might take a totally different approach, and I would look at the Yankees or maybe like the Dodgers or whatever the other team may be. But for me, in the 150 builds, it's going to be pretty heavy on Arizona.
Agree. Brock has got a good point. It's actually Players Weekend, which is always fun. The players get to use cool looking bats and gloves and stuff like that. So keep an eye on that for the weekend. That's always fun. I'm with you here. I'm going to be slamming it. McCarthy hitting fifth. Really like Locklear. He's basically pinch hit proof. He was the main piece in the Gino Suarez return. They're just going to let him play. So really like him with the power there. So yeah, I'm going to be playing a ton of this, mostly on the Arizona side. I'll have some Colorado. There's some pinch hit risk in the bottom of the order with Fernandez and Ritter. We'll probably be lower on them. Our guy Warming, Bernabell's back in the lineup after a day off yesterday. For some reason, they won't price him up above 4K, even though he's played 70% of his games at Coors and sitting 400. I think that 2 through 5 is my favorite. 2 through 6, Moniak. You get the catcher out of the way with Goodman with pop. Jordan Beck, power and speed combo has been pretty dog shit outside of Coors, but has like a 950 OPS at Coors. So really like playing Jordan Beck at home, Bernabell, and then Kyle Karros prospect. That's got to be Eric Karros' kid, right? I mean, how many Karroses do you see? That's got to be Eric's kid.
It's got to be. Yeah, it's got to be.
So yeah, not much more to say about this. We'll just be jamming both sides. I think an interesting pivot. Oh, did you want to say?
No, I'm just sorry. Yeah, no, Trevor was just asking if I would do one-off. I'm really not interested in one-offs at Coors. I just want to play stacks really. But
Yeah.
if you were going to do a one-off, I would do it with whoever maybe with one of the projected lesser owned guys, and that would be like a Thomas or something like that at a cheap price. But yeah, I mean we're playing that game. You're basically hoping for it to go off all the way, and you want full stacks there.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to Sacramento. An interesting pivot to Coors always. Park factors up until last week, that Pirates series stats had Sacramento as more hitter friendly than Coors for this season. We've got Yusei Kikuchi up against, it was for Jack Perkins for the A's. Perkins was a guy I can talk about for a little bit here since he's kind of a new name. They transitioned him to the rotation. He was in the bullpen for a lot of the year at AAA. 32% strikeout rate in the minors in 2024, 38% strikeout rate in the minors this year stats. Worked up to 6 innings and 84 pitches last start. Has a 16% swing strike rate so far. Dangerous matchup right here in this park against the A's. But like we always talk about with the A's, I kind of want both sides of this one. I'm going to play some Perkins and some Angels. Sorry, I said A's, but Angels here at sub 6K. What are your thoughts on Perkins here? I assume you're not on Kikuchi at his price point.
No, I actually like both of these guys. Right,
okay.
So I like Kikuchi and Perkins. I've got them as my third and fourth options on the slate. Now, I think you kind of touched on where I'm going to go. I'm just going to go over. Kikuchi 6.5 strikeouts in the prop market, 17.5 on his outs, and then Perkins. I mean, 5.5 Ks. It is juice to the under, but at 5,900, it's kind of hard to not play it. With that said, the bats are really good here also, right? We're just getting really good strikeout numbers from both of these pitchers. For me, I'm going to wind up having a bit of Perkins. I don't know what do they have his ownership at, but it should be, it's got to be over 20%. I was going to say he's got to be over 20, I think. And this fits into what I always talk about. I'm like, okay, now he's got talent, granted. But you're going to get a high ownership on him really because of the price. If he was an 8,500 pitcher, you're just not going to get that much ownership on him tonight. So this is a spot, and I'm just not going to be able to do it tonight like I normally would because of the Coors game. But this is a spot where, again, if you want to get away from Coors, you want to get away from Arizona, I think you get really good leverage against both pitchers. I think you take stacks with both pitchers. I always like the Angels. I love this ballpark, and a lot of the A's as well. They often will show up on the high leverage versus starting pitcher sheet because of the fact that they do strike out and they do hit a lot of home runs. So I think both sides of this game play well. I would not be shocked if either one of them hit into the winner here tonight. So I think and you've got decent price, and Colby Thomas, if he's in there at 2,300 for the A's. I mean, that's a really good price as well. So perhaps even with him, I'm sure we could figure out some good. And there's cheap bats in Arizona also. We could probably get both sides of this game in as secondary stacks with that Arizona side and fit them in here. But I think you want to play the bats and the pitching. You're just going to need that savings if you're playing some of the more expensive stacks. But I like both. It's just an odd situation where I like both pitchers and I like both bats on this one.
Yeah, I mean, we're playing the pitchers for the strikeout upside, not the run prevention, right? Mm-hmm. So I'm with you. I think this is the clearest pivot to Coors, especially these ownerships. Look at what Saber has for all these A's against Kikuchi, who gives up a ton of fly balls, a ton of power. It's not a good park for him. The A's obviously have a ton of power throughout their lineup. So I'm going to be on both sides. I lean using the cheaper arm than Kikuchi just because of the price tag, but I do get it with that 6.5 K prop and a tad weaker of an A's lineup. There's no Larry Butler in here. We've got backup catcher in there, Willie McIver, and Brett Harris at third base. So a bit of a watered down back half of the A's lineup kind of enhances the matchup for Kikuchi. I actually added him back into my pool once I saw the lineup here. But yeah, I mean, I kind of lean the Angels side just because of that 20-25% ownership on an unproven young pitcher. Like we always say, Are we playing him because he's really good, or are we playing him because of the tag? And I think it's the latter here in a tough park with a 10.5 total. I mean, we're getting these Angels at really, really good ownerships, and the price tags are pretty good. We get Trout under 5K, Ward's under 5K. They have Moncada back, so I really like both sides. I'm going to play a bunch of bats from this game, and I'll have some of the pitchers, but I do lean the bats here. Any last thoughts on this one?
No, that's it.
All right, let's go to LA. Clayton Kershaw, fresh off his start against Max Scherzer. That was really cool to watch. I believe that was a full week ago, last Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You were on the show with DC against old friend Randy Vasquez. Michael King, I believe, went on the IL, so they are going with Randy Vasquez here. If you've watched shows with me over the last year, you know what I think about Randy Vasquez. One of the worst pitchers in all of baseball, the luckiest pitcher in all of baseball this season, has the worst xFIP on the entire slate. Going to LA, what are your thoughts on the arms here? I didn't get to either of these pitchers before we talk about bats.
Yeah, I mean, I'll be quick with the arms. I know we're running late. So yeah, I don't like either one. So I'll just leave it at that. Not going to be touching them. The K's are just atrocious, but bats are definitely
Dodgers bats here.
Yeah, the bats are in play for sure. Both sides, especially Dodger bats, and again, we should get probably some lighter ownership than typical on a Dodger game with in this matchup. So kind of similar for me as the Yankees. I like the Yankees a little bit more, but again, similar situation here. I think if you're going to fade the Arizona side, stacking either the Yankees or the Dodgers, I think makes a ton of sense. Again, I like the Yankees a little bit more because I think we get a little bit more leverage here. You're not going to have any ownership on either of these two pitchers, so I mean, not that leverage is everything, but that would give me the nod on the Yankees. But I like Ohtani, getting him at low ownership. I mentioned that with Judge is always huge for me. But you're paying up. The Dodger bats they're very rarely are they cheap. So we don't have a lot of cost savings here. I like the San Diego side also, but again, bats are expensive on San Diego's side, especially the bats I like in Machado, Tatis, Laureano with the 4K. I don't mind that, but it's like the bats, Dodgers more so, maybe secondary stacks with San Diego.
Yeah, Jake makes a great point. This is a huge series for both teams. Our guy Captain is actually on vacation in LA. I got him some nice tickets for the game tonight so we can read on his Dodgers against the Padres. So,
sweet.
Shout out to Cap. He works his ass off for us. Good to have a couple days off. Hopefully he gets to see his Dodgers get back on track against dusty ass Randy Vasquez. So my concern here my first point, we don't often get a 5.5 team total at these ownerships stats for one.
Exactly.
But my concern is if it goes bad for Vasquez, this is a massive game. I don't see them just letting him get shelled. The Padres are the best bullpen in baseball. So that's my concern here is this becomes a bullpen game and, they're trying to beat the Dodgers as their biggest rival. They're going to throw the big guns out of the pen here. So, if I had to poke holes in it, that is one for sure.
Well, it's a big series, right? So it's not just a big game, it's a big series. So you got to look at it as a matter of, so if they are getting pummeled, are you going to throw, you're not really throwing the big guns out of the pen. So if they get to them early, you may not see some of the better arms.
True. We do have Muncy day to day. He got scratched, I believe it was Wednesday, and then they had yesterday off. So not sure if he'll be back in there, but 2 full days off for Max Muncy coming into the series. I'd be surprised if Muncy sits against the Padres here, honestly, with just a little bit of soreness. So I do like the Dodgers. I just wanted to throw out that one concern I had with the good bullpen. If this game is close, it's going to be tough to get runs late, whereas other spots like Coors and in Sacramento with just 4 dog shit bullpens, much easier 4 runs late. All right, let's wrap up. We can talk about this last game real quick. Mm-hmm. I know we want to talk about pitching here. I want you to give your thoughts on Joe Boyle. It's Boyle against Landon Roop. I don't think we can use Roop. He's coming off the IL. They're going to be careful with him. Joe Boyle, big-time arm, wild as hell, but he's in San Francisco against a struggling lineup at 5,400. Have to have some interest in Joe Boyle here, I think.
Yeah, I mean, at the price tag, like I said, there's a few real cheap options, and Boyle's one of them. Yeah, I mean, good strikeouts, a ton of walks. That would be the problem, but good ballpark for sure. So I like this. I like that. I like having Boyle, and I don't even like, typically, like we talked about the cheaper pitchers, maybe targeting against them as a leverage play. I don't even really like the bats at all in this game, so I wouldn't touch either side of this game bats wise. I'm not going to be taking Roop at all in my lineups, but Boyle will be will definitely be in play. Between Boyle and Perkins at that real cheap price, they're going to kind of split a lot of the ownership down for me down at the sub 6K level. So they just allow you to get Framber. Like now that we've kind of gone through it, I'm like, yeah, maybe I will have more Framber when it's all said and done, just because of the fact that I can get these two guys in. It's going to bolster those guys. So I'm going to be playing a couple of pitchers here, sub 6K. Going to hold your nose and hope for the best. But Boyle will be for sure heavily into the mix.
Yeah, I mean, he is an electric arm. Just has no command. So hopefully we get a pitcher's umpire that would help him a ton here. Stats, if you get a larger zone. If he can avoid just walking the yard, I think he's going to put up a score at 5,500 that you might need. I mean, he's an electric arm. We've seen the upside when he was with the A's. It just can go bad. Like he will walk 3 straight guys, and you're just like, fuck, we're screwed. So hopefully that doesn't happen. I'm going to have plenty of Boyle here. He fits really, really well with what both of us want to do. But I'm with you. No Roop here and no bats in the game, I think, on either side.
No.
All right, let's wrap up with some overall things, and then we'll do a quick pick six. Talk about your pitchers. I've got my pool up on the screen here. Who are your most important pitchers tonight?
Yeah, like I said, I think Valdez is your best option overall. I think Kikuchi is going to be important to me, and then Perkins and Boyle that we just talked about, just on the cheap side. I'm going to need one of those guys to really go off. I think if we get one with Valdez and and the Arizona game going off, I should be in good shape.
Yeah, I talked about him earlier. Luis Heel, 7,500. Ownership's climbing up a little bit. I've already upped his projection on my sheet here. He's going to be super important to me. He's going to be on my main team. I haven't decided if I'm going to go, Framber, Heel, or Heel on one of the cheap guys. It'll depend on the bats, but he will be my most important pitcher as far as being over the field. Let's talk about stacks real quick before we do a pick six. Let's throw cores out. Let's do non-cores, a top stack, and then more under the radar one maybe.
Yeah, I think if we throw the cores game out, I mean, I would say Dodgers.
Got to be the Yankees for you. You've been talking about
the Yankees. Yeah, I'm going to say I was going to say the Dodgers only because I was going to put the Yankees as my under the radar one, but okay. I don't know if the Dodgers are necessarily over the radar or on the radar either. So it's the Yankees for sure, and then I'm just going to go with actually. You could throw like an Angels in there also. Angels and A's under the radar. So I'm just going to throw all 4 of those out there, but Yankees for sure are going to be my number one outside of Arizona.
All right, outside of Arizona, I'll go with the Angels with you, and then a couple teams that we talked about earlier. I'm going to have some of. We talked about the Mets, specifically the lefties and the cheap guys at the bottom of the order. I like the Boston game a good bit. And I do like Houston. So that's kind of why I'm going to be probably more condensed than this at pitchers, because I'm going to spread out the bats a bit outside of Arizona. So I like a lot of spots here. And that's a good dovetail into our pick six. Let's do, I will go first because I already know the first one that's going in.
Go ahead.
Because we gave away the prop earlier. Luis Heel over 15.5 outs.
Okay.
Going in.
All right, I'm going to go with a game not on the main slate. So we got the Washington Philly coming up at 6:45. Robert Hassel, hits, runs, RBIs over a half.
Robert Hassel. You see, I'm not sure if you saw this yesterday. I can't remember her name. The girl who pitched in the Little League World Series like 10 or 12 years ago apparently struck out Robert Hassel in the World Series. She threw the first pitch to Hassel last night. That was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. No, I did not see that.
Yeah. We just got the Dodgers lineup for those.
I saw the kid for Taiwan or whatever Chinese.
Throwing 82.
82, just gas.
At 12 years old.
Yeah. The kid fouled it off, which was impressive enough.
All right. I'm scrolling through the HRR here as well. I want to get in on some of these later games. I'm trying to get down to the Angels here. We will go with I don't have who I want. We'll go with Tyler Ward over 1.5 HRR.
Okay. I'm sticking with that Washington game, and I'm going Mackenzie Gore strikeouts over 6.5.
Did you pick another bonus special with this Hassel thing?
Is he? Yeah, he's the bonus.
He's the bonus.
Yeah,
I think we did that last time too. All right, so
you got to put the bonus in. Yeah,
Gore over 6.5 Ks. All right, so we've got 4 in there. Let me go with a. We talked about. Morton playing him for the strikeouts. His K prop everywhere else is 5.5. Here we have over 4.5 on pick 6. So we'll go over 4.5 Ks for Chuck Nasty, Charlie Morton. That's my third pick.
Okay. Give me Bo Bichette over his singles, just singles, not hits. Over a half.
Over half of a single. How the hell do you find these things? Okay.
You got to remember, I've developed the Sharp app, so
I know.
These are my high edge plays on the Sharp app.
The only one I was prepared with was the Luis Heel outs. Jake, I was more of a junk baller back in the day. Mid 80s is what I topped out. But now that I do not have a labrum, I'm sure that 12-year-old throws harder than me.
Oh, I could barely lift my shoulder anymore.
All right, so we got 6 here. We got Luis Heel over 15.5 outs. We got Taylor Ward over 1.5 hits, runs, and RBIs. Robert Hassel over half hits, runs, and RBIs. Mackenzie Gore over 6.5 strikeouts. Charlie Morton over 4.5 strikeouts, and Bo Bichette over half a single. That is your pick 6. I'm going to post that up on Twitter after we sign off here. Good show. We went a little long. But, I like having the Sabre here. If you're not a member, use code STATS15 or Steve15 for 15% off your first payment. If you want a free week with a month, use JBC 100K win as your code. Join us tomorrow. Stats, you said, 10 a.m. NASCAR show, dovetailing into the UFC show before the big pay-per-view. I think it's 3/19 tomorrow. I will be there in person. It's here in Chicago, so I'm pumped about that. All right, everyone have a great weekend. Thanks for hanging out, and good luck tonight.